This is Good Day Street Talk.
Welcome back, everyone, to Good Day Street Talk. If you'd like to help the planet by making some energy-smart changes, Alison Rosen of Time Out New York magazine is joining us with some tips. Alison, nice to see you.
Thanks.
And you guys at the magazine have really spent a lot of time, especially over the last year. You see an increase in the number of stories that address being green in the city.
Exactly. Well, you know, I have to tell you, when we thought about doing a green issue, when we would talk about it in staff meetings, people's eyes just kind of glazed over because every magazine does a green issue, and there's so much of the movement that's kind of hectoring and preaching and telling you what to do. And as much as people might agree with it, I mean, for good reason, that's the tone. At the same time, we just kind of didn't want to do another thing where we're telling you what to do. So we're just sort of trying to give you options, like little things you can do that'll be, you know, good for your pocketbook and good for the environment.
Well, therein lies the challenge, I suppose, as we've talked about this today, that you need to make suggestions to people that are easy to understand, easy to accept, and even Al Gore said in his movie An Inconvenient Truth, I know we keep coming back to that, but it really is a combination of small changes by a larger number of people that will make the greater difference in the long run. Here's something that might be easier said than done. If you live in New York City, keep living in New York City. If it really comes down to a choice of staying where you're at or moving to the suburbs, you say stay.
Well, this is kind of just some, you know, a bone that we're throwing to people who already live in the city, and we're saying that, hey, you're kind of already ahead of the game because people living in cities are damaging the environment less than if you're living in the suburbs. You're just, you know, most likely you are not driving a car, and a 2 to 4 unit apartment uses a quarter of the electricity of a single-family house in the suburbs. So we're not saying, hey, pick up and move to New York for that reason, although I think, you know, a lot of people would want to. But if you're already here, you know,
it might be cost prohibitive
to
move here, but if you're already here, it really comes down sometimes to making a choice. In my own case, I'd rather sacrifice on space to be closer to work and to be in the city. That's a personal choice, but I do know that by being here, there is inherent of being here, there are things we're doing that are helping the environment.
So you can feel good about that.
So think that out. All right.
When you use aerosol hairspray.
Yes. Conserve water. The idea of conserving water, in what way? What are we talking about?
Well, 75% of residential water use is used in the bathroom. So an easy way that you can use less water is just shut the faucet off, like when you're brushing your teeth or something, because like 3 to 4 gallons, no, sorry, 2 to 3 gallons a minute are just coming out of the faucet and you're not using them. Another thing you can do is you can get a shower head like that one. It's an oxygenic shower head, and it is a low-flow shower head.
So it takes less water, but condenses it, and puts out more pressure, so you don't feel like you're having a low-pressure shower.
Yeah, because that is so annoying.
There's nothing worse, right?
Right, and then you think, well, okay, but now I have to take a shower that's twice as long to get all the shampoo out. So there are these low-flow shower heads that are pressurized so that it basically feels the same, but you know, it uses about 2.5 gallons a minute instead of 4 to 7.
And low-flow toilets and attachments that you can use so it uses less water, etc. Recycle electronics. This has been a tough one because I've had a couple of cell phones, an old stereo, and until recently, there really didn't seem to be a place to go where you could really recycle them, or if there was, it was hard to find. Right.
Well, now there are places all over the city where you can take your electronics, so you don't need to leave them in a pile in a landfill or a pile in your apartment. And I am a bad one to speak because I have an old computer sitting in my living room right now.
Well, it's sitting in your living room. It's not in a landfill, though. That's the point.
My living room is arguably a landfill.
At least when you decide to get rid of it, you know where to go, and they will take the components and dispose of them properly and recycle them.
So for like air conditioners, on the Upper East Side, there's Council on the Environment you could take it to. Any make or model of cell phone, even if it's not Verizon, you can take to Verizon and they'll recycle it. With computers, Lower East Side Ecology Center, they have a drop-off in Park Slope, actually, and you can take your computers there, or all sorts of electronics, actually, not just computers.
This might be the last thing we get to, and this is not Fear Factor. I'm not eating these worms, I tell you. These are... You say keep your food scraps in a worm bin like this. This might be hard to sell to somebody in the city, but if you live in the burbs, maybe this is a thing for you.
No, actually, you can have these worm bins in the city. Are you going to go all Fear Factor?
I'll take your word for it.
Pick up a handful of
oh my gosh. We should say that basically what I'm digging through here is it's worm waste.
Yes, but it's so good for your soil. It's vermicompost.
They eat the scraps. It's vermicompost, which is a nice way of saying worm poo, I suppose.
And here's a fun fact about your worm bin, that if it's working properly, it should smell like a forest.
Really?
So if it smells bad, it's because
we'll keep
putting
that
stuff
in
that
mind.
worms don't like.
Alison Rosen from Time Out New York, thank you for joining us. More information on our website, myfoxny.com. Thank you for joining us. Have a good one. Bye-bye.